गजमुख गणनाथा गजमुख गजमुख गणनाथा गणेश वरदा मां पाहि गणेश वरदा मां पाहि गजानन 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 ओम गजवदना गजानन ओम गजवदना एकदन्ता गजानन एकदन्ता गजानन हेरम्बा गजानन हेरम्बा गजानन एकदन्ता गजानन एकदन्ता गजानन हेरम्बा गजानन हेरम्बा गजानन 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 ओम गजवदना गजानन ओम गजवदना एकदन्ता गजानन एकदन्ता गजानन हेरम्बा गजानन हेरम्बा गजानन एकदन्ता गजानन एकदन्ता गजानन हेरम्बा गजानन हेरम्बा गजानन 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 ओम गजवदना गजानन ओम गजवदना गौरी
Janki ji, you're on mute.
Sahana bhavatu sahana punatu saha viryam karavavahai tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Welcome back to the classes. Sorry for this long break that we had. Though, of course, my husband always says that my students must completely dislike me because I never give any holidays. Every student wants a holiday and you don't give it, so nobody likes you. Maybe so, but so now you all have all got the holiday. Now we have been studying, excuse me, we have been, we have been studying practical Vedanta. If you read, I mean, as you have read all this time, nothing in what we are studying can be called practical. The first part was practical, or at least what we understand by practical. The first part of this book is about practical life. How do you go about living your life properly? Now, the assumption is that you have done that all aspects of your life are now sorted out. You are mentally available for not practical life, but practical Vedanta. Practical Vedanta is working on the knowledge itself. You can't work on the knowledge if life is not all right. So first, life is to be all right. Everything about life should be satisfactory to you. Whatever is happening in your life should be satisfying, comfortable to you as an individual. And once you've achieved this much, whether it's finances or relationships or children, or I don't know, in Mumbai, buying a house, whatever according to you, you need to do in your life. Getting your degree, whatever according to you was what you needed to do, you have done that. And now the mind hopefully is available for Vedanta. The second part of the book starts Vedanta. The first chapter really just taught us how to name things, because it's very important that we name things correctly. Correctly in the sense, you can name it anything, you can call it ABCD, it doesn't matter. But whatever we name it, we must all have the same name for it, so that we can communicate with each other in some kind of effective way. If you're calling the same thing to different things, you create confusion. Like the most common confusion, at least philosophically, is in the word Ishvara. People say, I will pray to Ishvara, and Ishvara means God. I pray to God, God grants me my wishes. Now, this is, yes, I mean, you could say that, but then you're not using the word Ishvara and the word in the way that Vedanta uses it. Vedanta has a completely different meaning for that word. In fact, there is this very popular song, Gandhiji's song, Ishwar Allah Tero Naam. Vedantically, it's wrong. Ishwar and Allah are not the same. Ishwar is quite different, Allah is quite different. Allah means Brahman. Ishwar, what it is, we will study, or we have studied. I don't know how far you have read, but they're two different things. Allah is the supreme Godhead. Ishvara is not the supreme Godhead. So you have to know what you're talking about. That's why we learn to name. So I hope you've understood what I have said so far. The first part of the book is about practical living, which is what we must achieve first, a comfort and satisfaction with our life. The second part of the book is about practical Vedanta. Now, this is where you become philosophical. The assumption is you've already done all that bit about getting life okay. Now, first thing you do when you get philosophical is you learn to name things correctly. But by naming things correctly means you get the glossary of the subject you're studying. You understand the words that the subject uses. Every subject uses particular words. And we must understand those words. Now, up to now, you've been understanding that. Today, we are blessed to start the very crux of Vedanta. We're just going to glimpse into it because there's a whole chapter coming up on this topic. But now we've come to Vedanta, hardcore Vedanta. So I hope you all are prepared for the real stuff. And the hardcore Vedanta is actually very, very simple, deceptively simple, especially when Swamiji writes it. It is so incredibly simple. You don't know, you sort of miss the point because it seems so simple. So today we're going to start the waker, dreamer, deep sleep. It is, I suppose, the most important concept of Vedanta, because the whole crux of philosophy, the whole crux of Vedanta is a questioning of reality. What is the philosophical temper is when you can ask the question, what is real? The study of reality is known as ontology. So this is the ontology of Vedanta. What is real? It's a frightening question for us to ask. Because all our reality, all our concept of reality starts from somewhere. I ask you, who are you? So I look at Tinky and I say, who are you? She says, I am Tinky. Or if she is being particularly formal, she says, I am Lavlina Bharadwaj. Now, I can't question that for her. I ask Elsie, who are you? She says, I'm Elsie. Ask Nonita, who are you? She says, I'm Nonita. Each one starts somewhere, right? We take this as a given. I ask you, Usha, where are you now? She tells me she is in the Vedanta class. This is taken as a given. But if I ask anybody to prove to me what you have just said, no human being can ever prove this. I say, what do you mean I can't prove it? I am in the class, my friends are in the class, you yourself are in the class. Can't you see what is there for me to prove? Really? This is what we're going to study. What is real? What is happening? It's so tough for us. It's so tough for us. See, if we could easily discern reality, we would have no courts, isn't it? The whole judiciary needs to break down if we can tell what is real and what is not. Nothing. You don't need newspapers. You don't need courts. You don't need police. Nothing. The whole structure of society will wane away if we knew how to tell what was real and what was not. Can't tell. For instance, Mr. Santok was feeling a little unwell. So the doctor told him, and also obviously was clear, take a COVID report. So he took a COVID report and his COVID report was positive. So the doctor told me, I asked him that time, shall I take a report? He said, no. If his comes out positive, then you take yours. I said, okay, I'm not feeling anything at all, but if you think I should, I will. So his report came positive and I took mine following instructions. And my report came negative. So, well, what is to be done? I had to shift to the other room and sleep so that, because now he's quarantined, so I've got to go sleep in the guest room. Seems quite simple, right? That night, I developed extremely high temperature. For 2 days, I was in high temperature. And our poor quarantine gentleman had to take care of me because though I was negative, I was too sick to do anything. Now, my question to you is, did I get COVID or not? Nobody knows the answer to that. It is so difficult for us to tell. I hope you remember what we're discussing. It is so difficult for us to tell
Reality.
Real and unreal.
Reality.
real and unreal. So tough. Now, this is something that is not particularly emotionally stressful. And it's okay, you get a disease, you get it. No, not really a problem. But think about when you're fighting with somebody. Think about when you feel that your husband should have done or not done something, or your wife should have done or not done something. And there are deep emotions involved in that. And our hold on reality, which was tenuous in the first place, becomes even more tenuous. It becomes more and more difficult to tell what is real and what is not. When you start looking at yourself, what are your virtues and your faults, becomes very difficult to tell. Right? So our hold on reality is very, very fragile. It's a very tenuous hold. I'm just talking practical so far. Now, if you take the jump to philosophical reality, it becomes almost impossible. That is why, if those who were there in the beginning of the book, one of the commentators said that the highest stretches of Western thought appear like dwarfish pygmies in front of this colossus, Vedanta. Because what I've just told you, the questioning of reality, is a very psychological based thing. We haven't even approached what is the ontological versions of these things, which is a real study of reality. Varsha, you want to ask a question? Are you giving me a high five or are you raising your question?
No. I was trying to minimize that square. Sorry.
Okay. All right. So is this clear? That our hold on reality is very, very tenuous, and therefore for us to study what is real is going to be difficult. Except that it's very simple. The base idea is very simple for us. But to delve into it is going to be, I hope you all are ready. Everything is clear up to this point. Anybody has a problem up to this point? Anybody is new in class today?
Yes, I am Chandrasekhar. I am from Pune.
Okay. So
I am not sure if directly starting this way is the right way.
well, frankly,
Now
there is
that-
yes, now that where are you, Chandrasekhar? I can't see you anywhere. Here you are. Yes, you're right, but jump straight in. Murtuza, you're also new? Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So anyway, jump straight and see whether you can study this in Vedanta, unlike in all other subjects. The comprehension of Vedanta is based on the person you are. So it could be possible that the person who's there on the first day understands more than the person who's been there 10 years. It's also possible that even first day you don't get it, and after 10 years also you don't get it. So it's okay. See if it works for you. Think about it, because it's the only thing that you really need to know in Vedanta is this whole concept of waker, dreamer, deep sleeper. If at any point something is not clear, this is for everybody in the class. I mean, anybody at any point is not clear, please stop me and ask. Okay, but don't go off on a tangent, because as it is, this is a uphill thing. So questions only directly pertinent to the point that is being made. Now, because the topic is what it is, I'm just going to very briefly explain it, and then we'll read it, and then we'll explain it again, okay? So, what is the point that Vedanta tries to make about reality? The first point that we need to understand is reality seems obvious to us. Until you think about it, everything is obvious. अब उसमें सोचने की क्या बात है? सबको पता है. If I ask you what is the date, you will tell me what the date is. सबको पता है. When is New Year? If I ask you, that's easy. 1st January. Really? But for Maharashtrians, it is Gudi Padwa. For Gujaratis, it is Diwali. Excuse me. What about Aborigines? What is their New Year? What is New Year for different people around the globe? And yet it's so glib for us to say 1st January is New Year. Anybody who understands the very basics of our solar system understands that there is no such thing as a New Year, because there is no starting point to a circle or an ellipse. The earth is going round and round the sun. So what's the starting point? How do you say this point is new? Or you can say any point is new. That, okay, we are saying that it's starting from here. We take the assumption that this is our starting point, and then we finish one and then we come back. Right? So the moment you start thinking on it, anything that is even obvious stops being so. So now I ask you, what is true? And you can tell me that we are in a COVID pandemic, and everybody in Mumbai and Delhi is unwell, and all these jokes are going around. Today I got one which says definitely a very positive year so far. It's a very optimistic year so far. Everybody I know is positive. So all these things are going around, and to us it's real, right? There's a COVID pandemic. We all have to stay at home, and we all are falling ill and all of that. And yet this whole COVID pandemic can disappear like this in a moment, in a flash. There'll be no pandemic, there'll be no COVID, there'll be no nothing. Like that in a flash, it's gone. When does it go?
Dream state.
When you fall off to sleep. No COVID, no nothing. And when you sleep and you dream, maybe that you went with the mission to Mars and you're living on Mars, and whatever's happening on Mars, there's a whole world created there. And if I ask that person who's dreaming of that mission on Mars and that he has gone to Mars, and I ask him what is real, he will tell me, what is wrong with you? Can't you see we are all on Mars? We are in this mission. We are doing this great thing for humanity. And that whole mission on Mars and those years and years and years of work that people put there to get that mission going, and this and that, it's all gone in a flash like that. The moment
Deep sleep.
You wake up.
Wake up or deep sleep?
Wake up, go to deep sleep, it's all gone. Now, the important question for us to understand is that any point, wherever you are, however you are, it appears real. When a traveler in a desert sees the water and rushes towards it, that water is real for him, isn't it? when a man falls madly in love with a woman, or a woman falls madly in love with a man and feels that this is the only person in the world for me, it is real for that person at that point. And that same person about the same individual can have a completely different view at another point. What is real? When you begin to question your comprehension of what is real, you begin the philosophical journey. But at the bottom of philosophy is this question: what is real? When I'm in this waking state, everything about this waking state appears very real to me. When I go to sleep, that same sense of reality that I have about the waking state gets shifted in an instant to a completely different world. Try and think of this if you can, that when you were in that dream, it seemed exactly as real to you as this waking world now seems to me. If you can remember that sense of reality that you gave to that dream, you'll become philosophical. Did you not believe that dream just as much as you're believing this? Did you not unquestioningly take anything that happened in the dream just as you are unquestioningly taking everything that's happening here? And when you were in deep sleep, did you not believe that there was absolutely nothing? Did you not believe? So does that mean that our entire understanding of what is real is this flimsy? It can change this fast, like in a second, just change. Now I'm so worried about COVID and pandemic and everything. I fall off to sleep. Now I have a different world, completely different. Then my dream ends and I go into deep sleep and I've got nothing. And so does my life go from one experience to the other, completely believing what I'm going through with the same sense of irrevocable belief. Same sense. So Vedanta, having drawn our attention to this, says, how do you know that all three are not equally false? How do you know this? You will say, don't be stupid. Obviously, waking state is right, dream state is a dream. But think carefully, who is saying that? Who is saying that we are in the middle of a COVID pandemic? Who's saying this?
The waker.
The waker is saying it. Is the dreamer saying it? No, the dreamer has his own word. So sure. And the same surety is across all three states. So, this is the crux of what this is talking about. If you do not understand it, never mind. You're going to study it very briefly now. We've got a whole chapter coming up on it. And hopefully over a period of time, it will start to make some sense. Okay, so shall we start reading? Okay, before we start reading, I hope you remember what we have studied so far. We did the Panch Koshas, the 5 koshas, the food sheet, the vital air sheet, the Manomaya Kosha, the mind sheet, the intellect sheet, and the bliss sheet. We've covered that. We've covered the 3 bodies. What are the 3 bodies?
Gross.
The gross
subtle,
subtle, the gross subtle and
Subtle and the,
Yes, which is the gross body?
the physical body
The physical body. Very
and
good.
gross pranamaya.
Yes, very good. And what is the subtle body?
Intellect.
Mind, intellect, and
Intellect.
subtle pranamaya kosha.
Okay, we're going in order then. The subtle part of the pranas, the mind and the intellect is your subtle body. And then causal body is
Vasanas.
the
Anandamaya
vasana.
kosha.
Very good. Now, when you are in the causal body, the state is known as
Deep sleep.
deep sleep. When you are in the subtle body, the state is known as
Dreaming.
dream sleep. And when your gross body is functioning, it is known as
Wakar.
wake. Right? So this is how all these connect to each other. Murtuza, are you clear about this?
Ma'am, just wanted to know, ma'am, like as you said, there's a dream and there is a conscious, like, wake up state, right? Ma'am, just one question: how do we recognize that we are in a dream state or in a wake up state, ma'am?
That is exactly the question we are going to try and find out now. If we knew the answer to that, you'd be a self-realized soul. At every stage, you believe whatever you are going through is the truth. Now you say this is the truth. When you're asleep, you say that is the truth. So which of them is the wake-up state?
So, ma'am, this is one thing, ma'am. Like in a relationship, you know that this is the best thing, right? And then after some time, you realize that this is the real. So both seems real at that particular time, and that's where the conflict happens, and the reality is not known then.
Yes. So therefore, when you start applying yourself to higher levels of reality, the lower levels of reality start becoming more and more clear. That is why the study of Vedanta is said to give you clarity of thought. It's almost like you figured out something more subtle, so all the gross things become clear. So that's how the system is supposed to work.
So you mean to say, ma'am, there are levels to it, like for the reality to achieve?
There are levels of clarity of thought, yes. How much can you think? There are levels to that.
Yeah, Ma'am Chandrasekhar here. But my question is here, how do we know that we have three bodies, or right, the subtle body, the gross body? I mean, we know that we have a gross body, right? But how do we know the existence of the other two?
Excuse me. This is all a matter of naming things. We are naming this body as the gross body. Now, you know already that you go through certain mental conditions, such as you like something or you don't like something, you feel like doing something, you don't feel like doing something. You go through these conditions, you think a thought, like how you're asking a question, you're thinking a thought. These conditions, which are mental conditions, these are known as your subtle body. Your thoughts and your feelings, your mind, manas, and intellect, buddhi, together are known as your subtle body. And then these feelings and these thoughts, they don't exist in nothingness. They come from a seed, which is your inherent nature or your inherent vasanas. These vasanas are known as the causal body. So from the causal body comes the subtle body. From the subtle body comes the gross body.
Okay.
Ma'am, when you call about vasanas, it's all about desires, ma'am?
Yes.
Vasanas
are unmanifest desires.
Okay. So the more the vasanas means the more unmanifested. So they have a lot of craving then, if they have a lot of vasanas, ma'am.
Yes, the more the vasanas, the less the comprehension of reality.
The less the comprehension of reality.
Yeah, because the more your desires operate, the less you'll be able to see what is and what isn't.
What is and what isn't. Okay.
So a person who's fallen in love with somebody cannot see that person.
Okay.
Even a mother cannot see the child, in the sense that for the mother, the child is like Bal Krishna only. No mother in the world feels that there's anything wrong with her son.
So basically, for the vasanas, we can't see the reality and we are more into a dream state. That's one thing.
Yes, we are in a dream state means we don't know what is the reality.
What is reality? We see it as a reality because that's a desire that we wanted. And because of that desire, we are not able to see the reality.
That's right. And whatever is your desire will become your reality for that time.
Okay. So operating without any desire, you are just being there in the now. That's where we are able to see the reality.
Yes, except that you can't do it because the fact is the desires are there.
Right. So the lesser the desire, the better the clarity.
That's right. And so as we undertake the spiritual path and the desires reduce, our comprehension of what is false and what is true becomes sharper and sharper and sharper. That's the degrees of clarity.
So, ma'am, like suppose a person's desire decreases day by doing spirituality, ma'am. In the modern world, people will say a person without desire is like having no life. Like, people say that. So, what's the comment on that? Because this is something what I have seen, like, people commenting, "Aapka desire kya hai?" So most of them. So a person without a desire, suppose means he has minimum desires in life. He's very contented, very happy. Now, is he a spiritual man or is he that he's not a worldly man or like,
Well, your life will always be your life will be proportional to your desires, in the sense that how much will you be running around is all dependent upon how many desires you have.
right?
If you have a lot of desires, okay, so you pick up the newspaper says that there is a movie, Akshay Khan's new movie, then you say run around and try to get tickets for that, and then there's a cricket match, and then you run around and try to get cricket. The more desires, the more life, as people call it.
Correct. The more desires, the more life, people call it, that a person would run from here to there. And is it a good thing or a bad thing? That's what I'm not able to.
That is not for us to say. That is for each individual to decide what they would like to do. Do you want to spend your life running helter-skelter from this thing to that thing to that thing? Or do you have any higher purpose, anything better to do? If you say, so there are three states basically. One is I'm very content, I don't want to do anything. Okay. This is the lowest state. It's a very tamasic state, very lazy. I don't want to do anything. I'm very content.
Very content. Okay.
Okay, so that's lowest state. Then higher state than that is, okay, I've got so many things to do. All natak is going on. Okay, so then these people are supposed to be lively and all that. They're doing stuff. But all their stuff that they do is only giving them stress, because everything they do is only desire-ridden, self-centered. I want this, I want this, I want this, I want this, like a child, running for this in the toy shop, running, but chill. Okay, so that's the second state of rajas. The highest state is the state of sattva, where you're very content with everything you have and you're pursuing something higher, greater, nobler. You have some vision in life. You're not running behind every exciting thing that comes, but you're clear about where you're headed in life. So these are the three states.
So you mean like the life purpose, like a person is a life person of vision or something, and that person is, doing something constructive for the society. That is the highest state.
Not necessarily for society. That's just one way of doing it. You could be you could be an artist. You could be social work. You could be Vedanta. Your options are many of what is the higher and greater thing you could do. You could be a mathematician who loves maths more than he loves himself. Whatever, anything.
According to you, ma'am, like you mean to say that this state, that the top state, he's contented also, he is busy with his work also, and he has a vision also that he's doing. So he's not lazy that because of being content. Okay.
Yes. And higher state is not that. Higher state is when you have figured that the best you can do with your life is find the purpose of human existence.
Purpose
That's
of?
the human existence.
Okay. Purpose of human existence.
That's the highest.
That's
Then
that.
everything is on the way. You have to do so many things. First, we will all be lazy. Then we will all be rajasic. Then we will all start doing a little better, little better, little better. It's a state of growth. Each human being will have to go through it.
Right.
Okay, so coming back.
Thank you.
So, gross body, physical body, subtle body, mind and intellect, causal body, causal because it is the cause of the other bodies, is the vasanas. From the vasanas, which is like a seed, comes the thoughts and emotions, which are like a sapling, which then becomes the gross body, which is like a tree. So you can compare it to seed, sapling, and tree. When it is a sapling, you can change it. When it becomes a tree, it will become very difficult to change. So don't allow things to formulate so hard that it will become impossible to change them. Okay, so now are you all ready to read Waker, Dreamer, Deep Sleeper?
I had a little question
Yeah, Deepraj.
about the this state of enlightenment that we reach. I was thinking about the dream state, and I was thinking about lucid dreaming. So, a lucid dreamer realizes that the dream that he is in isn't reality. So, can we say a lucid dreamer is like an enlightened being in the dream state?
No, not at all. It's these are all comparative things, and because it's so tough for us to understand the real stuff, many people give some kind of explanation. But we have to understand that there is no way from here you'll understand what that state is. Like there's no way the dreamer can understand the waker. No way. If you're in the dream and I tell you everything in your dream is nothing but your mind, there is no way you can understand that. You know what that means. So every explanation is an incorrect explanation. Yeah, Sahu Menon?
Yeah, before the last para we had done last week. The last line says the vasanas of an individual manifest through the gross, subtle, and causal bodies, respectively, as the waker, dreamer, and deep sleeper. Here it says the vasanas of an individual manifest through the causal body as the deep sleeper. I thought vasanas will be unmanifest in the deep sleep, no? So,
Yes, that it's used slightly differently. What it means is when you are in the state of vasanas, that state is known as deep sleep.
understood. Thank you.
Okay, so shall we continue? Let us read Waker, Dreamer. Now, please, if anybody asks me for dream interpretation or anything while we're doing Waker, Dreamer, Deep Sleeper, you're all going to be whacked very badly. Please concentrate. There's only one idea that we need to understand in the concept of Waker, Dreamer, Deep Sleeper. The only philosophical idea for us to understand is we are in pursuit of the ontological state, right? We are questioning the reality. The reason we are going through these three states is to draw to our attention that our comprehension of reality is constantly changing. That's all it's meant to do. So don't lose that base idea in this and take off to anything else, because if you do, you'll have missed the most important idea of Vedanta. Okay, so who will read Waker, Dreamer, Deep Sleeper? What happened? You're all terrified with Waker, Dreamer, Deep Sleeper.
I will read.
Please.
Every human, waker, dreamer, and deep sleeper. Every human being passes through the waking, dream, and deep sleep state. The pure consciousness is the substratum of them all. When the consciousness functions through the gross body, it takes the form of the waker, Vishwa in Sanskrit. The waker experiences the waking world. When the consciousness functions through the subtle body, it becomes the dreamer, Taijasa. The dreamer experiences the dream world. And functioning through the causal body, the consciousness turns into a deep sleeper, Prajna. The deep sleeper enjoys sound sleep free from thought, desire, and action. Thus, the one consciousness identifying with the three bodies manifests as the microcosm, the waker, dreamer, deep sleeper, Vishwa, Taijasa, and Prajna. So every human goes through the waking, dreamer, and deep sleeper states. When the pure consciousness functions through the gross body, it is the waker, Vishwa. Through the subtle body, it's the dreamer, Taijasa, and through the causal body, Prajna. Therefore, the waker, dreamer, deep sleeper, identifying with the one consciousness, presents the microcosm.
Very good. So the Sanskrit terms for this are Vishwa, Taijasa, and Prajna. Okay, so Vishwa. I hope you are getting what it means. Vishwa. What is the word Vishwa as you know the meaning?
World.
World. Now you get it? You realize how the language itself tells you things? When you refer to the world, when you say, in our world today, there is the COVID pandemic, what are you referring to?
Physical world.
world.
Say it in the context we're using. Which world?
Waking world.
Waking world. Your world, when you say world, you're referring to the waker. That's what the word Vishwa means, the waker. And all your stories of Brahmanda and creation and whatever stories you have, it's all about Vishwa, which is the waker. And all this importance you give to the waker because
I
It is
believe
real
it's the
to
only
us.
reality.
sorry?
It is appear real to us.
Yes,
The
so why
only
is
reality.
You identify with your gross body.
why?
Because we
Very
are in the
good,
waking state now.
Very good, Bharat. Very good, Asha. Because currently you are in the waking state. All this COVID, all this will disappear the moment you go to sleep. You're giving it importance because that's where you are. All right. So, what are these three states? When the consciousness functions through the vasanas, you are in the state of deep sleep. In other words, your vasanas are not manifesting. When they start manifesting, you are in Taijasa or deep sleep. When the vasanas start manifesting, how do they manifest? They manifest as thoughts, as desires, as emotions. So it's all going on in the subtle body level. And then when it comes to the full manifestation, this body also starts operating. And once this body starts operating, you come into the state of the Vishwa. You come into the Vishwa. You come into the world. It means you come into this waking state. Okay, next para.
Ma'am, I have one question, Chandrasekhar here. Yeah. But we sense the waking world through our senses, but we are not able to sense the other worlds. We are not able to touch the things in our dream state or sleeping state, right? So how do we say that that's a different when that's not the real one?
Think, who is saying that that is not the real world? Chandrasekhar says that when I slept last night and believed myself to be Deepraj, that Deepraj was false. But who is saying that that Deepraj was false?
Chandrasekhar.
And who is Chandrasekhar?
Vicar.
But my identity in you all through this, right, has been Chandrasekhar.
All through what?
All through these three states.
Really, last night when you slept, is it
I slept
necessary?
as Chandrasekhar.
You slept as Chandrasekhar. You woke up as Chandrasekhar. What happened in between? For instance, if you went into deep sleep through the night, where was Chandrasekhar? Are you married, Chandrasekhar?
Yes.
When you were in deep sleep, were you fighting with your wife? Did you know she exists?
No.
Where was Chandrasekhar and Mrs. Chandrasekhar? They weren't there. And little Master Chandrasekhar and little Miss Chandrasekhar, where were they all? There was nothing. There was no Chandrasekhar, there was no Mrs. Chandrasekhar, there were no little Chandrasekhars, nothing.
But then who was dreaming? Wasn't it Chandrasekhar?
This is the question. This is the big question, always the big question. So who is the person? That is the study of reality.
But then when I wake up, I remember the dream, then it means, wasn't it Chandrasekhar? I remember my dreams, right? You wake up from your dream and you come to know that it was some bad dream or something I was seeing. So wasn't that somehow correlated with Chandrasekhar?
When Chandrasekhar exists, then there is Chandrasekhar and everything that he claims is his world. But let us say now, Chandrasekhar is sleeping. He believes that he is Deepraj. Deepraj has a birthday. Okay, you're with me so far? Chandrasekhar is sleeping. He's become Deepraj. Deepraj has his birthday. Okay, since it was his birthday, his friends brought him a cake. And they brought him a really huge cake, so they could not finish the cake. And so his wife Deepraj's wife put that cake in the fridge at night. And in the morning, next day, they took out the cake and they had it. Okay. So Deepraj says, I had a birthday last night. I had a cake last night. Today morning, I'm eating that cake. Last night when I went to sleep, I dreamt I was in London. Now I know that I'm not in London, but I'm at home. I'm eating my cake. All this that Deepraj says, does it prove any of it is true? He took out the cake, which he put last night, into the fridge. He ate it the next morning. Can you not dream of all this stuff? How does any of it prove it's true?
Madam, you said that when you operate without desires, you are able to see the reality. But when you are in the desire, you feel it is true, but it is not true. Right, ma'am? So that's how it distinguishes from the real to unreal world, I believe.
Yeah, but now when you're saying all this, this is only an explanation of the ultimate truth. To make it comprehensible to us, I was only giving it in a way that we will understand. From here itself, from the state of reality, from the state of relative reality, also we do the same thing. But our current discussion is not about that. Our current discussion is that you are the self. And you have created for yourself this whole other world in which you live and play, and sing and dance and cry and weep and whatever else in the world happens. So I don't know. I haven't seen Matrix, Rajesh, but the amount of times I've heard of it, I think I should go and see it sometime. So I can't comment on what the movie Matrix says, but it cannot be saying what we are saying, because I understand that there is some, I mean, it's a common psychological thing about that brain in a jar. A brain in a jar can go through all these experiences that we are going through. But that's not what Vedanta says. Vedanta is, don't forget, it's
like in
Mahaustad it is.
Like in Matrix, a person feels pain also when he's going through. Now, when we are dreaming, in that also we start crying, ma'am. So if you try to correlate, that the dream is so real that you start, even your body starts to support you in that reality.
When you wake up, you're sweating, your heart is pounding, that's all possible. But the thing is, always remember that your body exists, this body exists only in this state. In the dream, you have a different body.
But this body starts behaving in the same way, right, ma'am?
When you wake up, you know that. When you wake up, Vishwa, your Vishwa means world, right? You're familiar with that. Your world comes into existence only when you wake up. Otherwise, it's not there. No body, no nothing. It's all, you have to be able to see how it all comes together at a point. Only when you wake up, then you have a body whose heart is pounding, who's sweating, whatever it is. Until that point, there is another body which is doing whatever that other body is doing.
Like we call astral travel. So at night, the body does astral travel, ma'am. Most of the bodies do astral travel. They go to their.
Retreat Murtuza, don't go there at all. This is a complicated issue in the first place. Astral travel and all is not. We have got enough complications in our normal world to go to all this other stuff. So no astral travel.
Can I ask a question, Janki ji?
Yeah,
Veena here. What I observe is that we tend to identify more with our physical existence, things that we can see and feel and sense when we are in the waking state. And we don't really identify ourselves when with being in the dreamer state. We wake up and we say to ourselves, okay, that was not real, that was a dream. So it's very difficult to grasp that this state, the waking state, for us is as unreal as the dream state.
Yeah, you can't do that. That can't be done anyway. That you will never understand the non-reality of this state as long as you're in it.
Yes.
The point you have to understand is that last night you believed with as much fervor something else was real. That you can understand, na? That in the dream you believed that the tiger was chasing you, for instance. That you believed completely. That much, that's all you're trying to say. That when you were in the dream, that for you was reality. When you are here, this for you is reality. That's all that you got to understand. You cannot say while you are in this state that this state is false. Then that's hypocritical. So you're correct when you say that you cannot believe it. Nobody can believe it. It can't be done. That's the whole point, that you are completely sold on the reality of the state. And you're completely sold on the reality of that state at that time. That's all we have to understand.
Can I say something?
Yeah, 1 second, Varsha. Please, when you all are studying this, don't please start talking like this waking world is false, it's a dream. Don't please start talking like that. Because if any one of you all talk like that, tell me please, I will come and poke you with a little pin, then you will know how real or unreal this world is. So this nonsense about, oh, this whole world is unreal is all hypocritical. All we have to do over here is understand that I believe this world thoroughly. Now, as a waker and as a dreamer, I believe that world thoroughly. That's it. There's nothing further over here. I mean, that's it means if you understand this only, that's a big thing. Yeah, Varsha.
So, so thoughts are more like manifest emotions. I mean, dreams are more like manifest thoughts and emotions. So when we dream, like we get angry, we are sad.
The same thing.
Yeah. So there very rarely is there like a body. I mean, when you wake up, you don't remember the body part of it. When you remember how you know, the feelings and the thoughts only. So when you're saying that there's another body there.
I hear you very well, Varsha.
Oh, can you now?
I heard this, yeah.
So is there, like you said that in the dream it's another body? Maybe there is no body because it's, you know, it's your thoughts, right? So maybe it's like a movie your mind is projecting. And
yeah, that is all Varsha's explanation. That's a movie and all. The dreamer's explanation is, of course, the dreamer has a body.
Okay. Yeah.
True. Varsha explaining the dream world is very different from what the dreamer is experiencing.
Yeah. Okay, I got that. Yeah. Thank you.
Okay, so that's it. Some little thing for you all to think of today. That's it. Yes, Tinky. Yes.
I just needed to make an announcement for the t-shirts. So may I?
Go ahead.
Yeah. So hello everybody. Sahuji is ordering some t-shirts. They are cream in color and they have the logo of the Vedanta Trust. And all those who want to buy the t-shirt, we will send you Bharat will put the picture and the sizes on the group. Please have a look. And you would need to give us the following details, your name, the size of the t-shirt as mentioned in that picture, the number of t-shirts you want, your address and your mobile phone number. And the cost would be 500 rupees a t-shirt plus courier charges as applicable. So if it's coming within Bombay only, it would be less. If it's going to a more distant city, it would be a little more, which would be paid by you. Advance online payment would have to be made, but as yet, you know, the mode of payment and to whom it has to be given, those details will be conveyed to you once you all have decided and given.